If you really put your heart and soul into it, 6 months is all it takes to get a top 5,000 rank in NEET PG. Know that what are asked again and again and again, and that is something that you'll have to read in detail. October end, so we have November, December, January, February, and mid-March. For 4.5 months I have given you, which are like more than enough for your first reading in my opinion. For first 4.5 months, try to finish the main notes of these 9 subjects and simultaneously read the RR notes. Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Now today we are going to talk about the 1-year strategy for those students who are preparing for next year's NEET PG. That is NEET PG, which is to happen in 2026. Now we don't yet know what the dates are going to be, and to be frank, we can't rely on the NMC dates if they release right now, because as we have seen in the last 2 years, the NMC dates for NEET PG are prone to change just few days before the exam as well. Okay, so what we have right now is a tentative plan for the next 1 year. I personally believe that the exam might happen somewhere in July. So I have taken a tentative date of 15th July. And please don't hold me for it, because obviously these are not the official dates, but we have to take some date for the timeline, right? So I'm taking it 15th July. You can tweak this strategy accordingly based upon what the final dates come out to be. But let's just prepare for the 10 months that we have right now. Okay, so today is 30th October. I've taken the prospective date to be 15th July. So we have around 10 months left with us, 9.5 months with us. And we try to make a schedule out of these dates. Now, let me at the outset tell you that 1 year is enough time to prepare for a NEET PG exam. In fact, if you really put your heart and soul into it, 6 months is all it takes to get a top 5,000 rank in NEET PG. Okay, even if you're average students at best in your medical college. Okay, now even if you don't have any base, you are not in the top 20, top 25, top 50 of your batch. Still, if you have read decently during your MBBS, थोड़े से आपने concepts पढ़े हैं, you have attended your postings, you know about the general overview of MBBS. Believe me, these 9 to 10 months are gonna be enough if you follow the particular strategy. Okay, now any entrance exam is very different from your MBBS prof exam, because the advantage that we have in a entrance exam is, number one, it's an MCQ. So the answer is right in front of you. So you have to improve your MCQ solving skills and build some back concept to help you solve that answer. And both of these can be done in this 9 to 10 months. Okay, now focus on the previous year topics, because that will help you know that what are asked again and again and again, and that is something that you'll have to read in detail, and that is going to be the core of today's strategy, focusing on PYTs, and I'll help you figure that out. Okay, now a lot of students who have not scored well in their prof exams, in their MBBS exams, think that NEET PG is too tough for them. The competition is too much now. Around 2.5 lakh students fit for this NEET PG exam alone, and how will they get a top 5,000 rank out of these 2.5 lakh students? But that is the change in mindset that you have to bring, because you want only one seat. Okay, maybe there are 5,000 other students all over India. You just want one seat. And even if you're, let's say, from a private medical college, if you have done your MBBS outside India, that doesn't mean that you can't crack this exam, because cracking this exam is very different from your MBBS. Everything is available on the internet, the guidance, the content, the mentorship, the MCQs also, PYQs, everything is available on the internet. You just have to find the right strategy to put it all together. So let's start with today's video. Let me first start with the expected timelines. What are we dealing with? So as I told you, I'm taking 15th July as the tentative date for NEET PG. Again, these are not official timelines, but I have taken it for the purpose of this video. Now today is 30th October when you're seeing this video, or maybe a little later, depending upon when you see this video. So I've divided this into 4 study brackets. Now, last 15 days, as you guys know, are my most important days. So if you have been watching my videos, I'm a big proponent of the last 15 days study strategy. So last 15 days are gone for that revision. Then we have R2 for 1.5 days, that is second revision, 1.5 months. R1 first revision, 2 months. And then we have the first reading that will complete in the first 4.5 months. So today is October end. So we have November, December, January, February, and mid-March. For 4.5 months I have given you, which are like more than enough for your first reading, in my opinion. Now, if you're starting now, or let's say you're someone who has not gotten a good rank in this NEET PG and is thinking of preparing for the next NEET PG. Now, this is the ideal time to start because the counseling is starting. NEET PG counseling is starting. You should obviously apply for the NEET PG counseling, but simultaneously also resume your own studies. Now, so let's come to the phase one of your preparation. That is your first reading. Now, what to read in this phase one? So let's look at the previous year's data. So these are NEET PG 2021 to NEET PG 2024. PYQs curated according to the subjects, and I have highlighted which subjects have the maximum weightage in yellow. So Biochem, Micro, Path, Pharma, Forensic, Community Medicine, Surgery, and OBGY. These nine subjects have 15 around 15 plus questions coming from them. Okay, barring forensic, obviously forensic is a minor subject, but still in forensic you can see around 10, 8, 9, 8, 9. These many questions come. And forensic is what? It's just 2 days subject. 2 days you get 8 to 9 questions correct, versus medicine you spend 10 days, 15 days, and you get what, maybe 20 questions, half of which are pathology or pharma questions, right? So that is how important forensic is, and these are the 9 subjects that you should mainly focus on in your first read when you're doing this 4.5 months. Now, I'm not suggesting that you only do these 9 subjects in these 4.5 months, but they should be very strong. That's my only agenda. So in the first read, when you're reading for first 4.5 months, try to finish the main notes of these 9 subjects and simultaneously read the RR notes. And what do I mean by this? Let me just explain it in a detail. So what I used to do is that I used to open 2 notebooks simultaneously. At the top was my main review book, or now your main notes, and at the bottom was my first aid. Now I annotated everything in first aid because I'm a big proponent of studying from first aid, and frankly at that time that was sort of our rapid revision notes. We didn't have a rapid revision notes like you guys do, but what you can now do is open your main notes and your rapid revision notes simultaneously. Have first reading of your rapid revision notes. Let's say you're reading hematology and pathology, so revise hematology from your rapid revision notes. That gives you an idea. Okay, these are the shortened version of hematology. Okay, there will be some things that you will not be able to understand, so go back to the main notes now for hematology. So I have read hematology from the main notes. I have a deeper understanding of hematology, and the extra point from main notes I have annotated now in my rapid revision notes. So what has happened? My rapid revision notes are now annotated and consolidated. These are the only notes that I need to refer later in my study schedule when I'm revising R1 and R2. Okay, so I don't have to go back to the main notes. Do this for these 9 subjects at least, and believe me, it will give you so much confidence that now your big 9 subjects are done. Your 140 questions out of 200 questions are sorted. And believe me, if you can get 120 or 110 questions, 120 or 120, 115 questions out of these 140 questions, the remaining 60 questions, you just have to get what, around 30-35 questions correct, and you will be at 150 mark, right? That is the power of focusing on these big 9 subjects. Now, at the same time, I would say that annotate your make a simultaneous 20th notebook. Now, what does this 20th notebook have? So this is like a short notebook. It can be a big notebook also. And in this, you mention your forgettable stuff. Right now, these can be triads, these can be scoring systems, these can be classifications, these can even be, for example, anatomical tables, for example, muscles of soles of foot, muscles of mastication, things that you keep on forgetting and are very confusing and are repeatedly asked. You can mention them in your 20th notebook. So simultaneously keep making this 20th notebook while you are giving your first read of these big 9 subjects. Now, what to do for the remaining subjects? So then go on to anat, physio, pediatrics, and minors. Especially for minors, I would say you can just focus on the rapid revision notes. Don't go for the main notes, they're too bulky. Everything related to exam, I think, is given in your rapid revision notes well. Now, what should your daily schedule look like in the next 4.5 months, or let's say 6 months or 9 months? So I've given you a 12-hour study schedule, 12 hour per day, and obviously this is a little intensive. You will not be able to sustain these 12 hours of studies in the next 9 months continuously. So you can modify it accordingly. So I am assuming you wake up at 10, and I'm assuming that you're not doing your internship. Yeah, that's a big assumption. So let's say you're waking up at 9:30 or maybe 10, have your breakfast, freshen up, get ready. Then from 10:30 to 1:30, this is a first study schedule, and this first study schedule has to be a 3 hour study schedule, because your exam is going to be of 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours. Yeah. But this first study schedule has to be of 3 hours. Don't do a 1 hour or 90 minute study session. The first session, do a 3 hour session, because then you will be able to cover a lot of syllabus. You'll build a habit of sitting for 3 hours continuously studying. That is very important. Now, after 1:30, have your lunch. I've given a 1 hour lunch break. Then from 2:30 to 4, a 1.5 hour study session. Then a half hour break. Then another 1.5 study session. Then a 1 hour break, 2 hour study session. And at 9, you can have your dinner. Now, 9 to 10:30, I've given you a break, so you can maybe relax a little bit, talk to your family, maybe watch a series on Netflix or Prime, whatever you like. And then at night, I've given you two study sessions, 2 hours, 2 hours. You can make it one also. Now, you can tweak according to yourself what you want to do. So, I would suggest that the first 3.5 hours and the next 1.5 hours, you should do theory, and the next 1.5 hours from 4:30 to 6, dedicate them for MCQs. Then again, 7 to 9, revise theory. And then at night, your 1.5 session can be dedicated to MCQ solving, right? So in a day, you will have around 6.5 hours for theory and around 3 hours for solving MCQs, or 2.5 hours for solving MCQs, which is a perfect plan. This is a perfect plan for you. This is a 10-hour study session that I have given you. That you can follow it up, you can maybe modify it accordingly. But believe me, the first session, do it a theory session in the morning and sit for 3 hours. Now, what should be your grand test strategy? Grand test should be given starting in the initial phase itself. So at the outset, I would say that give a baseline GT. Today is 30th. Maybe on 30th, 31st, give a baseline GT, so you know where you stand. And the only way is up from here, right? You won't go back, believe me. So start giving GTs early. If you're someone who's starting now, you're not a repeater, you're a fresher. So start giving more GTs when you've completed 4 or 5 subjects. So that will give you confidence that, okay, whatever subjects that I have read, I'm getting those questions correct at least. The initial frequency should be 1 GT per month, and gradually we can increase it to 1 per week. And it will give you a full exam simulation. Uh, please try to give a whole set of GT. Don't break off GT in between, let's say 1 hour, 1.5 hour, and come back later to solve the rest of the GT. No, we are simulating the real exam scenario. So give the whole GT. And more important than giving a GT is to analyze GT, which questions you're getting wrong, which questions you guessed and got right, as well as which you got guessed and got wrong. What was the thought process behind it? That is very important for you to understand. And go back to the topics that you got wrong, which you had studied and still got wrong. Go back to the topics and read them again. Okay, it's okay to get those topics wrong. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay, you make mistakes. You're in early phases of your preparation. Now, for MCQ solving skills, I would say that start solving MCQs while you're doing your first reading. And what I used to do, that whenever I used to start a subject, let's say I'm starting pathology. So in the first day of starting pathology, let's say I've dedicated the next 5 days to pathology. In the day one, I'll solve the last 5 year questions of NEET PG, INICT, and 2 years of FMG also, so that I get to know what are frequently asked topics. What I also used to do is to write them simultaneously in a separate piece of paper. That is pathology, most frequently asked topics. So hematology is number one. So general path, these topics. So renal is very important. So I used to write everything down in a paper. So I know that when I'm revising my rapid revision notes, which are the topics that I need to focus more on. And for those particular topics, do a specific Q bank also. So don't do the complete Q bank. It's not of much use now, especially if you're an intern or a post intern. Do a PYT specific Q bank. for the topics which are frequently asked. For example, if hematology is again and again asked, it's a good idea to finish the Q bank of hematology, and the extra point that you get from your MCQs, add them in your 20th notebooks. That 20th notebook, that is the strategy. So winding up everything that we have talked about, in a nutshell, revision is the most important thing. Plan your revision ahead. This is a realistic planner for you. Try to finish everything by 15th March. I know it's a difficult task and most of you will not be able to. Irrespective whether you have finished your syllabus by 15th March or not, you have to start revision by 16th March. That is 16th March, you should start revising your previous subjects, and whatever subject that you had left before, those will now be covered in R1. But you have to start your revision by 15th March. Attend some offline classes of the subject. If that subject is weak, for example, I was weak in ENT. So I attended a 2-day offline class of ENT, and that sort of quickly finished my ENT off. So there are a lot of offline classes which are happening, subject specific classes. You can attend that. And finally, make revisable notes. What trick did I tell you to make revisable notes? Open main notes and RR notes simultaneously, and keep on adding extra stuff from your in your RR notes, and that will make your RR notes consolidated and strong. So that is all from my side. All the very best.